Ogyanatimidandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. General speech. In general, life is miserable. This is our general speech. Life in the material world is miserable. Generally and specifically also. Any way you take it. Alright, let's speak generally. Yes, it's the same. General. If we had to speak generally, the general situation of this material world is that it's miserable. Due to illusion, we are thinking we will be happy in this material world. It's a great illusion. Just like this whole educational illusion. There's a big illusion that if you get a so-called good education, then you can get a good job, but it's just all cheating, because good education means you have to work, study, be full of tension, and then at the end of it you can get a good job, which means you simply work and be full of tension, and that's your whole life gone. And what's the purpose of life? You don't know. You think I'm successful because everybody says I'm successful. Everyone is praising, oh, very successful. What is your success? You're full of tension throughout your whole life. You get an ulcer due to tension, or high blood pressure and a heart attack, and of course you can go to a first-class hospital and get coronary treatment and then die and have your name in the newspaper. Successful life. This is not success. This is all a big bluff. Everyone in the material world is simply bluffing. We will be happy in this material world. There's no, what is the happiness? Birth, death, old age and disease. This is the situation of the material world. It's just like if I offer you that, what do you want? Oh, I want a nice house, you can have whatever I'll offer you whatever you like. Genie in the bottle. Would you take that book off the floor, please? This picture of Krishna we shouldn't put on the floor. Books about Krishna. So if imagine a genie comes, I will give you everything, whatever you want. Beautiful woman, millions of dollars, the intelligence of Einstein. There's only one condition. What is the condition? Tomorrow morning we'll beat you to death with sticks. You can have whatever you like and enjoy it up until tomorrow morning only. So is it a good proposition? That is this material world. It's just like that. That actually you can't get what you like. You struggle to get something. Maybe not the dream house, maybe not the dream wife, but something, some kind of compromise, some kind of apartment somewhere, some kind of life partner. But after some time, death will come. Mrityu Sava Haraschaham. In Gita, Krishna says, I come in the form of death and take everything away. Whatever you are, whether you're Bill Gates or just some ordinary unknown Ramalingam or whatever it is. Death comes and then you become a cat or a dog or an ant or a tree or whatever. You get a different body. And then you struggle again. Even the trees are struggling. You've seen the speed, they make the very slow film and then they speed it up, how the plants are struggling for light, or when the creeper comes around a tree, they're fighting with each other. Material life is simply a struggle. And what for? What for? What do you get at the end of it? Simply kicked out from one body to the next. So this is the first thing to understand. Spiritual life, real spiritual life means to make a solution to the problem of repeated birth and death. What is material life? Birth, death, and in between, struggle for happiness, but there's no happiness. Now we think if I drink a Pepsi Cola, I'll be happy. What's the happiness? No happiness. Or if I get a job in America, I've seen people, I got a job in the Gulf. So excited. And then what do you do? I got to go. And then you go there, and what do? You're simply working 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day. And you're thinking, what is the happiness? No happiness. So real spiritual life means to understand this material world is miserable and to find where is real happiness. One solution to your misery is commit suicide. That's one solution. But it's not a solution because we are spirit soul, we are Atma. We can kill the body, but the soul continues to exist. It's not a solution. That's actually sinful. To kill the body, that's all. It's just like killing someone else. It's murder. So it's self-murder. So those who commit suicide, they didn't want a gross body, so they become a ghost. A very sinful condition. Of course, probably in IIT you don't believe in ghosts, but are there any ghosts here? They come around. Ghosts of dead professors. Ghosts of... You get a few suicides here, I'm sure, right? Must be. How often do you get suicides? What's the average? 1 a month? How is it here? Not many suicides? Not very many, huh? Oh, the doctors are more advanced. Generally in the medical colleges they have more suicides. Maybe more pressure though. Anyway, the point is that material life is miserable, and spiritual life means to understand that we should be happy. Isn't it? Don't you have an inherent feeling that you should be happy? I should be happy. Everyone's trying for happiness, isn't it? But this attempt to become happy by material improvement, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for anybody. There are so many schemes. Get rich quick. Do a Harshad Mehta or something like this. Get rich quick scheme. It doesn't work. No one becomes happy under any circumstances in this material world. One good example, I think I gave this here once before. This was a little bit before all of your time probably. There was this famous Bombay movie actress, Rekha. So all over India, all the cinema goers were slobbering over her, considering how fortunate it would be to marry her. Then someone married her. Who married? Some Agarwal guy married her. And then within 2 weeks he committed suicide. He was thinking that, wow, everyone was thinking this is the perfection of life, to marry Rekha. So 2 weeks was enough for him. It was miserable. So miserable. He was thinking it's so nice. Or in America there's Marilyn Monroe, who is considered like a goddess of the American screen. Young, beautiful, famous, rich, another suicide case. There's so many. So everyone thinks we should be happy, but happiness is not to be found in this material world by any means. Whatever you are, whatever you do, there's no happiness in this material world. And even if you think, now I'm happy, I have a nice house, I have enough money, I'm respected in society, so many things, but you'll be kicked out. You can't remain in that situation. Death will come. So to search for happiness, that is not bad, but we should know where is happiness. We should understand, first of all, why. Let us examine. Science, you're all supposed to be scientists, technologists, so it means examination. Science, pure science means examination of cause and effect. So why do we want to be happy, and why are our endeavors for happiness not successful? Now this answer we'll find in Bhagavad Gita, that actually we're supposed to be, we have the feeling that we should be happy because we are living spiritual beings. It's by nature to be happy. You don't find a microphone endeavoring for happiness. You don't find a book stand endeavoring for happiness. They're inert. There's no living force. Living force means the soul, the Atma is present. The nature of the Atma is Satchidanandamaya, to use technical language, Sanskrit. The soul is by nature eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. That's why we don't like to die, because by nature we are eternal. That's why in human society there's the endeavor for knowledge. Why is Why is man making so much endeavor to search out what's going on in space, the macrocosmos, and then what's going on within the atom, microcosm? Why? Why should you can just grow some food, eat it, and go to sleep? Why should you bother? Because the nature of the soul is to have knowledge. And ananda, why are we endeavoring for happiness? Because the nature of the soul is to be happy. But in this material situation, it's asat, achit, nirananda. And the material situation is everything is destined, everything that in this material world comes into being and is destined to be destroyed. Then achit, even though we have amassed so much knowledge in human society, we live in the information age, the age of information. On the internet you can get all kinds of information and disinformation and malinformation and misinformation and all kinds of information about all kinds of things. But it's all actually useless to the soul. It's external knowledge. It's knowledge about the permutations and combinations of this material world. But as long as we don't have Atma Gyan, then simply knowing that what was the date of the Battle of Plassey and all this kind of thing you're supposed to learn, it doesn't actually help us. All knowledge should come to the point of helping us understand, helping us come to the platform of Ananda. Of what is Ananda? Ananda means, real happiness means that which is full, without any disturbance, without any cause of unhappiness. Full bliss and unending. That is happiness. Just like I was giving that example, happiness. You can have anything you like. You can have all the beautiful women in the world, all the money, all the power, but tomorrow we'll beat you to death with sticks. So where is the happiness in such a situation? That's why in many countries they have this system that someone who's to be executed, in the next morning, they say, the day before, they say, what would you like? Your last meal. Whatever you like, we'll arrange it for you. So whatever food you like to eat, can you enjoy it if you know that you won't get the time to pass it out the other side? You'll pass it out when you're shot by the firing squad. You'll be passing stool and urine. That's how it will come out. You can't enjoy it. But where is the enjoyment? So enjoyment means that which is full and complete and without any end. So that is possible on the spiritual platform. That is what spiritual life is for. It is meant for that. Mostly people take spiritual life or religion as a means to enhance their material life or to give them a break from their material life. In other words, they go to God that, I've been trying hard to pass my exams, but, I'm not, just can't quite make it. Give me a blessing. Or, I'm just having so much tension, give me a break. Let me get a little peace. I'll go to the temple and get a little peace. Forget my exams for some time. So mostly they take religion as something simply to either improve my material life or just forget my material life or something, do a little meditation or something and just feel very peaceful. And then with my batteries charged, I'll go back to the rat race and become the top rat. Work on my life's ambition to be the number one rat in the rat race. So this is not actually spiritual life. Spiritual life begins with real knowledge that material life is simply a trap. We're in the rat race. We're all trapped rats. We're all trapped in here. But we're thinking, see, I'm in the rat race. I'm the most energetic rat. All the other rats are envious of me, so I'm doing quite well. But actually our position is not laudable. So real knowledge means to understand I'm not a rat. I'm not a rat in the rat race. I'm an eternal spirit soul. I'm I'm the servant of Krishna, who is always supremely blissful. We don't find Krishna worrying about his bank balance or his insurance policy or any such thing. He's always situated in the highest platform of transcendental bliss. But because people are materialistic, even when they come to get knowledge of Krishna, because our consciousness is materialistic, and people cannot understand Krishna. In India, there's so much you'll find on TV, Krishna, and even people are giving lectures about Krishna, but people are not understanding actually who Krishna is, because they're thinking, well, he's just another person like me, or maybe he's a little more successful. I'm trying to get a girlfriend, he's got lots of them, so he's more successful than me, so they become envious. But they don't understand that Krishna's pastimes are fully transcendental. Krishna is not lusting after young women as we are. But the gopis and the queens in Dwarka, they are just like Krishna. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Bhis Tabiri Eva Nijarupa Taya Kalavi Hi Galoka Eva Nivasatya Kilava Bhuta Govinda Madhi Purusham Tamaham Bhajam. Krishna, his devotees, they are the gopis, they are expansions of Krishna. They're produced from himself, just as we are also produced from Krishna. But the gopis, they are his internal Hladini Shakti. They are meant for Krishna's enjoyment. They're not products they're not ordinary people of this material world who are full of material desires, but their only desire is to satisfy Krishna. That is called Adi Rasa, or the exchange of love on the spiritual platform, the exchange of love on the material platform. We're thinking it's love, we're thinking it's wonderful, but it's simply the cause of entanglement and bondage in this material world. We're thinking, oh, I love my wife, I love my children, but that love is the cause of our entanglement in this material world. So, to understand Krishna, we actually have to come to the transcendental platform. How Krishna is always situated on the platform of transcendental bliss, and we are also supposed to be situated on the transcendental blissful platform as servants of Krishna. But because we have the materialistic outlook that we're thinking, I should enjoy this material world, we're endeavoring to enjoy this material world, but we cannot, because the very nature of this material world is that it's not enjoyable. This material world is set up in such a way that it's always promising us enjoyment, but we never get it, just like the donkey and the carrot. He's always thinking, it's just ahead, it's just ahead, it's just ahead, and he's going on working all day, but he never gets the carrot. So this material world's like that. It's just like you have a young, strong body, and you're thinking, very nice, I can enjoy, I can play sports, and I'm fit, and my mind is very clear, so you think, I can enjoy. But then when you try to enjoy, you find that actually the body has so many limits, and gradually you have so many diseases in the body. The body which we're taking as a means for my enjoyment. In youth, the body is generally quite fit and healthy, and we think, now I can really enjoy myself. But gradually as it gets older, so many diseases come, and it's simply because Shrira Vyadhi Mandiram. It's simply the body is simply the temple of all diseases. So that is material life. It's the donkey and the carrot. We are the donkeys, and the carrot is material enjoyment. We're thinking, I will be happy. I just have to get my degree, and I just have to go to America, and this and that. I'll just do this and that. And we do all the time working. We just have to do a little bit something, make a little bit, and by the time we finish making all our adjustments, we're 60 years old, and our body, all we've got left in our life is to try to maintain our body for a few years until it drops dead anyway. So it's all just a big bluff, this idea of being happy in the material world. So when one can see through that, that is real knowledge. When you can see there's no happiness and there's nothing worth endeavoring for in this material world, let me find out what is the real platform of happiness. That's when real spiritual life can begin. When we understand there's got to be something better than simply this hard struggle in the material world. There's got to be something more than this. then if we are fortunate, we can hear the knowledge of Krishna consciousness and understand that beyond this material world there is the spiritual world, where there is actual happiness, where the happiness, it's not like the happiness of this material world, which is dependent upon our sensual enjoyment. We're all the time thinking how I can enjoy seeing, touching, tasting, smelling, feeling, enjoying the material world in this way. But in spiritual life, in spiritual existence, in the spiritual world, everyone is simply thinking how to satisfy Krishna, because Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna is the embodiment of all happiness. Krishna is bliss personified. And because our constitutional position is to be the servant of Krishna, then it actually works. As much as we give ourselves to Krishna, that much Krishna reciprocates, and Krishna is the ocean of bliss, so the ocean simply overflows, and we, all the devotees of Krishna, become absorbed in the transcendental happiness of serving Him. That is Krishna, that is the platform of transcendental bliss, and that's factually seen that a devotee of Krishna who's actually on the who's actually thinking how to satisfy Krishna, he doesn't need things which people of this material world think they need. He doesn't need an opulent house and lots of money and fame, position, all these things. He can sleep on the floor, sleep anywhere, lives a very humble, simple life, but he's fully satisfied in love of Krishna. That is the actual goal of life. This is spiritual life. This is what is spoken about in Bhagavad Gita. This is the teachings of all the Shastra. Of course, there are many Shastras. Even within the Vedic literatures, there are many different things, and they're for people on different levels of knowledge. But Bhagavad Gita is especially spoken for those who want to come to the highest platform of knowledge. The Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Upanishads. Sarva Upanishado Gavo. It's compared to a cow, which is the essence of all the Upanishads. Just like a cow eats grass. It takes grass and different kinds of... A cow is allowed to freely graze. It takes a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and processes it all and gives milk, which is the best food for nourishing the brain for spiritual knowledge. So, just like that, in the Bhagavad Gita, all the Upanishad means that is spiritual knowledge. In the Vedas, Veda means knowledge, and Vedanta, the end of the Vedic knowledge, is the Upanishads. So in the Upanishads we'll find spiritual knowledge. Mostly in the Vedas, the Vedas mostly speak about the different fruitive activities within the modes of material nature. Traigunya Vishayo Veda, Krishna told Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, that the Vedas, they're mostly concerned with the fruitive activities within the three modes of material nature, Sattva Gun, Rajagun, Tamagun. Mostly in the Vedas, in the 3 Vedas plus 1, 4 Vedas, Rig, Sama, Yajur, and then Atharva is sometimes, anyway, it's originally Veda is 1. So in that we'll mostly find different rites and rituals, prayers for material happiness. That is materialistic religion. It's not actually the message of the Vedas, but that is to attract people who are materialistic, who have no such spiritual insight, that you worship some demigod and you get some material result. You worship Indra and you can go to the planet of Indra, like this. But the Upanishads, they point us towards spiritual knowledge, that you are not the body. The body is temporary, but you are eternal, spirit, soul, servant of Krishna. Actually, in Upanishads, that's in most of the Upanishads, that we are the servant of Krishna is not very explicitly stated. But it's we are the living being, soul. Then, in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence of the Upanishads, it's stated in the beginning, Krishna tells Arjuna, you are not the body. The body is temporary, the soul is eternal. But what is the activity of the soul? What is the position of the soul? That is explained clearly in Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna is the Supreme Soul, we are all His eternal servants, and our position is to serve Krishna. That is our constitutional position. That's why we can't be happy in this material world. It's not possible, because we're out of our constitutional position. We're wrongly situated. Just like a fish out of water is wrongly situated. He can't perform the function of a fish while he's outside the water. He can't operate properly. So similarly, in this material world, whatever position we get, we're in the wrong position. Because our position is to be in the spiritual world serving Krishna. But in this material world, we're trying to forget Krishna, and therefore we're suffering in various ways. Sometimes suffering in the body of a frog or a dog, and sometimes suffering in the body of a slum dweller, sometimes suffering in the body of a king, or a rich man, or a scientist, but it's simply suffering, suffering, suffering. So Krishna is exhorting us to come to our constitutional position of service to Him. Because we're in materialistic consciousness, when we hear service, we think, oh, that's not very good. I don't want to serve. Better people serve me. But it doesn't help. Just like in this city, two famous people are Hitler and Stalin. So the original Hitler and Stalin, they were trying to become the controllers or the conquerors. That everyone should serve me, and if they don't serve me, or if I don't mind, kill them. So they are trying to be the controller. And everyone in their own way is a Hitler or Stalin. Everyone's trying to control the situation around them and manipulate it for their own purposes, for their own sense gratification. But it doesn't bring us any happiness. It doesn't satisfy us. And everyone in this material world is simply inflicting suffering on each other. And we have codes of social behavior by which we moderate our competitive spirit, but everyone's out for themselves in this material world. Everyone's simply thinking, what I should do, what to get myself ahead. Especially modern society is very competitive rather than cooperative. Even any cooperation in modern life, just like you get a job and everyone's cooperating within to do some project or whatever it is, but at the same time they're competing, because the cooperation is there to complete the job, but at the same time everyone's thinking, I've got to get ahead of these others, and like this. So it's full of tension. But in spiritual life, there's that competition isn't there, because everyone's simply cooperating to serve Krishna and satisfy Krishna. That is real harmony. In this material world, there cannot be harmony. It's naturally, everything in this material world is by nature dysfunctional. Everything is built to, every body is built to decay. So an intelligent person sees this and thinks that, why should I waste my time trying to be happy in this material world? Let me try and understand Krishna. Let me understand what is my real position. There's no happiness. Whatever I do, there's no happiness. So let me find the position of real happiness. That is spoken of in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, of course, is a very practical book also. Arjuna, he was a fighting man, family man. So he was exhorted by Krishna, do that. You're a fighter, so you're supposed to fight. Do it. You're a family man, okay. But you should know that on top of this, whatever material position you're in, you have some material obligation. But that is not the essential point of your existence. Whatever you have to do in this material world, do it. But at the same time, understand that our real position is to serve Krishna, that we're not part of this material world. We should act in such a way that we can get released from material existence. That release from material existence means to change the consciousness from material consciousness of trying to enjoy this material world to the consciousness of trying to serve Krishna and satisfy Krishna. It's a very great subject. It's a big subject. I've given a general discussion, general discourse about this. But if you want to know more, I heard so many people are coming newly, so if you want to know more, you have to come regularly and hear these classes and take these books, study Bhagavad Gita. You're studying so many books. Must be, in all your rooms you must be having stacks of books. So put another one in your stack and read it regularly. That will give you the essential knowledge, which will help you even in a way which all the other books can't help you, because at the time of death, whatever technical knowledge or material knowledge you may have amassed, it won't help you in the slightest. But if you can remember the instructions of Krishna and Bhagavad Gita at the time of death, that will actually help you. So the whole of life is like an exam. Now, you're studying, what's the point? What's the point of all this studying? You're preparing for the exam. Everything is tested at the exam, right? Whatever you do, it's all tested at the exam. So like that, human life, whatever you do throughout life, it's all tested at death. So this is the book which is going to help you. And that, it's an exam, it's an examination. So what is your consciousness? How have you developed your consciousness throughout your life? Even if you become a big scientist, technologist, if we still have the consciousness of a dog, then what is the use of our human life? The consciousness of a dog is, I'm the best dog, I'm the biggest dog around here. Let me get the food and push the other dogs out of the way. That's dog consciousness. So similarly, if we're simply competitive consciousness, let myself get ahead, put the others down, you may be a very brilliant at juggling equations or whatever branch of science you're in. But the consciousness, the attitude, if it's like a dog, then when you die, you'll be in dog consciousness and you'll get the body of a dog. So Krishna teaches us to be in God consciousness, to understand that whatever we're doing, we should do in consciousness of Krishna, that we are the eternal servant of Krishna. That means purified consciousness, in which we live in this world, but we don't try to exploit the position for our own sense enjoyment, but we simply live a life dedicated to the service of Krishna. That is God consciousness, so that at the time of death, if we have been cultivating God consciousness or Krishna consciousness throughout our lives, we can remember Krishna, then we go to Krishna, then no more birth and death. That is Krishna consciousness. That is possible to develop by satsanga, by associating with devotees, and by sadhana, by the process of Krishna Bhakti sadhana, which means chanting about Krishna, hearing about Krishna. So all this information is given in these books. So we request you, please study these books. By Krishna's grace, you have sufficient brain to study these things. It requires some intelligence also. And you have, by Krishna's grace also, you have some inclination towards that. Not everyone has the inclination towards spiritual life. And by Krishna's grace, you have the opportunity also. You're very fortunate. Devotees are coming every week and giving some lecture. So why not take the opportunity? This is real self-improvement. Everything else, they say self-improvement. You're not actually improving the self. You're just improving the illusory material situation. But self means the Atma, the soul. Real self-improvement means progress on the spiritual path of understanding Krishna. So we have books here. Do we have various books? Students can take, for sale.
Actually, we have a library, we have a collection of books.
But better you should have some books they can buy also. Okay, you all buy some books. Have it. Why have it in the library? Have it in your hostel room better. And when you go to your houses, when all this study is over, you can bring it with you. It's a valuable thing. Everyone should have this Bhagavad Gita as it is in their hostel room, in your home. It's a life's companion. Knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, I'll finish there. Hare Krishna. Could you all do one thing for me? I have a request for you. Could everyone please say Hare Krishna? Can you say? Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. That's very auspicious. You get the blessings of Krishna simply by saying Hare Krishna. Whether we understand or don't understand, of course, it's a great spiritual science to understand why chanting Hare Krishna is very beneficial. But if understanding or not understanding, if we simply say the names of Krishna, that is our great spiritual benefit. It means that whatever else we may do or not do, at least if we even say once Hare Krishna, that means at least our human life hasn't been totally spoiled. And if we go on chanting Hare Krishna throughout our lives, then our lives will become perfect. So, any question about all this?
As about this position of the Jivatma in the material world, people are living here trying to enjoy, but they don't know that this is not the truth of life. I mean, why this kind of illusion?
Why the illusion? Because we want the illusion. We are in this material world. Krishna Bhuli say Jeev, we forgot Krishna. We have the crippled mentality of wanting to enjoy this material world. Therefore Krishna gives the opportunity. Krishna consciousness means to change the consciousness from perverted consciousness of trying to enjoy this material world to purified consciousness of simply trying to serve Krishna.
No, but the material world is not wrong. It's everything right.
Everything's right.
Yes.
Really?
Car is there, engine is working, all of this.
The car is also running people over and killing them, causing so much suffering. Everything's right in this material world. I never heard such a thing. And you're always seeing people protesting about this and that, and everything's right. All the pollution in Madras, that's very nice. Is it? Which concept?
Whatever science we
What does science? Does science speak about the nature of the material world? I don't think so. Science doesn't usually get into philosophy very much. They simply investigate. What concept do you think is right? That everything is nice in the material world? Is it? You're going to die soon. You know that, right? You're going to die soon. So that's very nice. No, so that everything's not nice in the material world.
No, like if you want, you can beat death.
You can beat death. Really?
Improve sciences works there.
Hmm?
Improve sciences.
If we improve. If.
That's how we
Like Walt Disney. You know what happened to Walt Disney, right? Walt Disney, a great believer in science, so he had his body frozen. In his will he said, I'll freeze my body, and then when science becomes more advanced, they can unfreeze my body and bring me back to life. So he froze his assets also, but his relatives didn't like that, because they wanted to get his money. So they made a court case, and they unfroze his body, and they unfroze his assets and took it also. This is a big bluff, that in future science will teach us how we can live forever. But even if you do live forever, which is not possible anyway, because the body is destined to die, that won't make you happy either. There are so many people committing suicide, they're not happy. It's just a big illusion that you can be happy in this material. And there's another illusion that by science we can conquer nature. Science is not, for all the hospitals and research and so many things, the death rate is how much nowadays? What's the death rate? Of everyone that's born, how many people die? 100%. It hasn't reduced, even slightly. And you may think we're conquering diseases, but then it's so many other diseases. By the laws, there are subtle laws of nature. So you can think we're conquering, that's called the laws of karma. So you can think we're conquering disease, but then so many other diseases are coming. Modern life means there's so many diseases which weren't there. So much high blood pressure, heart attack, and then we have induced so many cancer has become more because of the modern way of life. The air you breathe is poisonous, and if it's not poisonous enough, you can smoke some cigarettes to make sure you're more poisoned. The water you drink is poisonous. It's full of chlorine, which is supposed to make it germ-free, but it kills the germs and it kills you too, only more slowly. So we're thinking we've improved by saying, but where's the actual improvement? There are so many diseases which have been so-called conquered, but there are so many more diseases which are coming. Everyone is dying. People in the modern age, they've got more mental problems. Depression, anxiety, hypertension, all these different things. Where is the actual improvement? It's just a big bluff that science has improved our lives. Otherwise people, what are the necessities of life? Food, what is that they use? Roti kapra makan, they used to say. They were promising for everybody, although they still haven't gotten for everybody. Food, clothing and shelter. So that you can get very simply, or otherwise you can have in modern society very complex. People are working. It's not an unusual thing. People are working like 15 hours a day, 18 hours a day. You get some so-called good job, computers, software, writing, and then you're on a project and you're working 18 hours a day for days on end. Or the rickshaw wallahs, they're also working long hours just to get enough money to live. So where's the actual improvement? It's just a big bluff that science and technology have improved our lives. And even if you think it has improved it, then still you have to die. So what is the purpose of it all anyway? You didn't actually improve anything. People have got more anxiety. And what is the actual purpose of life? People are more ignorant about that than ever. At least previously in India, most people used to think that understanding God is the most important thing in life. Now they think that going to America, I don't know what people think, going to America or God knows what. It's such a big illusion I see among the young people in India. You have to go to America. As if it's such a wonderful thing. You go to America and then instead of working 18 hours a day in Madras, you're working 18 hours a day in New York or whatever. And you're a second-class citizen. You can be more... If Indians in America, you're more intelligent, you're earning more money, whatever it may be, but you're a nigger. You're black. So... where's the actual gain? People don't know what the goal of life is. Therefore, they're searching after illusory things. They think this will make me happy. It's just like the child thinks if I get some toy, I'll be happy. So we're more advanced. We're thinking if I get a job in America, I'll be happy. But it doesn't actually bring happiness. I seen from Kadalo, just one example of many is one young man. So he went up in the world, and he told me he had his company, they had some project, some several thousand crore project for making some defense systems along the Pakistan border, and he had so many PhDs answering to him. But he was working 20 hours a day, he told me, every day, 7 days a week, for months to get this out. And then his company sent him to England, and he's going to be setting up companies for them all over Europe. He wasn't at all happy. He told me himself, he said, I'm completely miserable. I'm very successful materially, I'm earning lots of money, I'm becoming respected, so many things, but I don't have time to sleep or eat, literally. All I know is this work. I knew him before. He's a success. But he can't get out of it. He's caught in that now. So we're not saying that, all right, all of you become sannyasis. If you want to, that's very nice. But not everybody's ready for that. But there should be balance in life. In other words, you shouldn't think that simply becoming a so-called material success, this is all in all. But you should see what is the real need of our life. Don't just waltz off down the path of so-called material improvement. You have to have a balance. You have to understand what is our real necessity, which is spiritual improvement. Keep some kind of balance. It's difficult in modern life, because in modern life it's just work. This is so-called advancement. Everyone's working.
But there are many people who enjoy their work.
Yeah, well, they're fools. They're enjoying what? They're enjoying the means of that which is keeping them in illusion. They're simply, it's the cause of illusion. They're thinking this is wonderful, but they have no knowledge of who they are, that they're spirit soul. They simply live their whole life in illusion. Enjoy, yeah. They enjoy for some time, because they're thinking, this is the means by which I'll go to America and this and that. But you've heard of midlife crisis. So many people, they work, they get their job and they get materially success, and around the age of 40, they start to think, hey, wait a minute. I got success, I got everything I wanted. What's going on? What's it all for? It's a common syndrome, at least in the Western countries, midlife crisis. People think, what have I been working like an ass for the last 40 years? Since the age of 3, practically, they put you in pre-kindergarten. They had kindergarten, now they have pre-kindergarten. Because the mother's also not able to look after, the mother's also working. So practically they're forcing you from very early age to work, study hard, get it done. Then you get to the age of 40, your own kids are grown up, they're taking drugs and getting abortions and this and that. And your wife is running off with someone else, your best friend at work or something. You see, stop and think, hey, wait a minute. What did I work so hard for? What did I get from all of it? But they don't have any answer.
Are you happy?
I'm happy in as much as I'm serving Krishna, yeah. As much as I'm in illusion, no. Many people ask, am I happy? How many years have you been in this Krishna conscious movement? So I tell them, now it's 25 years. And then they ask, well, are you happy? And then they say, well, why should I be in it if I'm not happy? What do I get materially out of it? I don't know. Every morning we're rising, early morning. In the winter, of course, you don't get winter in South India, but we have to take shower, cold bath in the winter. We're even though we're talking about work, we're also working 7 days a week, round the clock, no holiday. But in another sense, it's all holiday, because our work is play. It's all service of Krishna.
So you enjoy it.
But certainly we enjoy. But our work is for Krishna. That's how it's enjoyable. So this is my point, that we don't go to movies, we don't even. In 1975, and by force I had to stay overnight, because I went by bicycle, and then it started snowing and the bike punctured, and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon in England in the winter it's dark. So I was forced to stay overnight, so I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning with everyone else, and at 4:30 I saw everyone is singing and dancing. And I thought, these people, they've got something. They must have something real. Because no one gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning in the cold in the winter in England and sings and dances. They're not getting paid for it. They must be getting some actual experience of something which inspires them to sing and dance. And it wasn't just a special day, every day. doing like that. So I could understand right from the beginning that these people are experiencing. Actually, even before that, the day before I met the devotees, I could see that they're very happy. I never saw people so happy like that. And how are they happy? Materially, they're not getting anything from what they're doing. Sleeping on the floor, taking simple food, working hard for Krishna, getting up in the morning early. But their faces were shining with the happiness which comes from the blessings of Krishna, development of love of Krishna. Are we happy? Yes, but not the happiness you see on the TV, people glug glug glug, Pepsi Cola happy. Or I'm using Nirma soap, so in the advertisement you'll see, if you use Nirma soap, then your life will become full of happiness. Not this kind of false, illusory happiness. Or the happiness you get, I'm top of the class, I'm better than the others. That's simply egoistic happiness. That's not actual happiness. That happiness only ends in disappointment. It's not actual happiness. Trying to prove yourself better than others, or trying to enjoy the senses. It's just a big bluff, isn't it? Does anyone ever feel waves of happiness overcoming them when they drink a Pepsi or Thumbs Up? On the TV they show like that. That if you drink these things then you become very happy, but it's just a bluff. A complete bluff. Real happiness comes from the soul, not from anything external.
Why work only for Lord Krishna? There are so many other gods.
Really? Are you sure? There are many devatas, but the conclusion of the Vedic Shastra is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are also servants of Krishna. So people, they approach, here you see the verse we're supposed to read today. Kankshanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devata. That people worship demigods for some material benefit. Give me this, give me that. But that doesn't actually bring happiness. Demigods themselves, they're all servants of Krishna. They'll be happy if you serve Krishna. They're not so happy being bugged all the time. People coming, give me this, give me that.
What is the meaning of God is omnipresent?
Well, it's an axiomatic statement. It you want to know what the word omnipresent means? It means present everywhere. Sarva Vyapi. He's everywhere. Means he's a person, but by his inconceivable potencies he's present everywhere, as being that verse, Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuto. He, as the supreme person, he's always present in Golok, which is his own abode, own dham, the spiritual world. But he's also present simultaneously by his expansion as Paramatma within the hearts of everybody. That is his inconceivable potency. We are persons, but we can only be present in one place at a time. Some yogis, they can be present in a few places at a time by yoga shakti, which also, that shakti also comes from Krishna. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can be present everywhere. He's in everyone's heart. He knows what's going on within everyone's. He knows what's going on in our heart more than we do. So he's all present, but simultaneously he's personally present in his original form in Golok Dham. That is his inconceivable opulence. When we speak of God, that means he's far greater than we can conceive of. Sometimes we hear God is great and we think, well, I'm great. So if God's great, maybe he's 10 times greater than me, or 50 times greater than me, but he's inconceivably greater. He has the ability to do things that is beyond our conception. How can a person be, he has his own personal residence, but he's simultaneously present everywhere. He's present everywhere, but he doesn't lose his personality by being present everywhere. Just like we can say on the surface of the earth, air is omnipresent, but it's not, or over the earth, the sky is omnipresent, but the sky or the air is not a person. So generally when we think of omnipresence, we think of something impersonal, but the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, but at the same time He's a person. He's actually present in everyone's heart in the four-handed Vishnu form. You won't find Him with a microscope, because He's not visible to material eyes. You can find Him with the eyes, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. Those who have the eyes with Bhakti, whose eyes are filled with Bhakti, they can see God everywhere. And how we can see God everywhere, that Krishna gives the idea in Bhagavad Gita, Rasaham apsu kaunteya, I am the taste in water. Prabhasmi shashi surya yaho, you can see the light of the sun and the moon. That is the representation of Krishna. Pranava sarva vedeshu, the Omkar, Pranav in the Vedas, that is Krishna. Shabda K, the sound which reverberates through the ether. Paurusham Rishu, the ability in any person, that comes from Krishna. That is all representation of Krishna. We'll find so many examples throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Naranam Chandaradhipam, among men, the king or the leader. Teyas Chapakshinam, there are so many examples. Among the birds, he is Garuda. So there are so many. Tejas Vinamaham, if you see any powerful person, that power, that is the representation of Krishna. So Krishna is everywhere, but He can be seen through the eyes of Bhakti. And initial knowledge of Him is got through Shastra Chakshuhu. We can get knowledge of Krishna through Shastra, by studying Bhagavad Gita, by hearing Bhagavad Gita. So that is His inconceivable opulence, that He is a person, He has His own personal dham, and He's also present everywhere. He is everything, He is in everything, and still He's aloof from everything. He's separate and above everything simultaneously. Now this appears to be contradictory. So you can say, how is it possible? It's not possible for you and me, because we are material living. We are tiny, we are limited, but He is unlimited. Unlimited means everything is possible for Him. That is God. That is His Achintya Shakti. Is it a little bit more clear?
God is present everywhere,
Hmm.
in every heart of the person. Then serving the other people. And is it on equal to
Well, you have to know how to see. You see, if you want to serve someone, you have to know how to serve them. An example is that there was one veterinary surgeon who had an apprentice. So one time he was called, one horse was choking, he had a big swelling in his throat. So the veterinary surgeon got a stick and beat that, and eventually the swelling went away, and then the horse was okay. So the apprentice went away, and without properly studying everything, he thought, well, I know everything. So he advertised himself as a horse doctor. Then he saw there was he was called to treat a horse with a swelling in his throat, so he got a stick and beat on the throat, and the horse died. So, and then they wanted to beat him. He said, well, I only did what my guru did. So then the guru was called and said, how you're teaching him? I didn't teach him, that's his own foolishness. I saw one horse, he had a melon stuck in its throat. So I beat the melon slowly, and then when it was dissolved, it simply swallowed it, and it was okay. But this horse had a swollen gland. So when you beat it, he thinks he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't. So if you think, I will serve everybody and this way I will serve God, it may seem to be correct, but you have to know the proper way to serve in which others will be benefited. So you may think, well, I will serve the poor people, But then you consider, why are they poor? Because everyone is in this material world, they're either getting the results of pious activity, punya karma, or papa. So poverty, that is one symptom of papa karma. So if you think, I will give them money and this and that and educate them and help them to come up, you can help them, but unless you give knowledge how to get free from birth and death, then again they'll commit sinful activities, and again, anyway they have to die. You can't help them get free from death, and again they'll have to suffer again and again in this material world. So you can't actually help anyone in this material world by helping them on the material platform. Just like if someone is drowning in the ocean, and you think, oh, let me help them. Okay, I'll come and I'll have a helicopter next to them and I'll play, what's your favorite song? I like to hear some rock music. Okay, play some rock music while they're drowning. Does it help them? The real thing is to get them out of the water. So you can try to make the situation for people more appealing to their sense, or more a better situation. That instead of the poor man, help the poor. Instead of living in slums, they can live in an RC buildings, but still they have to die, and then they get born again because they don't know what is the real problem. So it's not really serving them. It's not really helping them. Really helping people is helping them to understand how to get free from birth and death. So this idea, Manava Seva is Madhava Seva, this is some invented idea, but real Manava Seva is to teach people how to serve Madhava, so they will get free from repeated birth and death. That is real service. There are so many examples, just like there's the foolish man. Previously, they used to pull even now they may still do, I've seen in Bengal, they pull, when the boat has to come upstream, sometimes they have to pull with long ropes, strong men, they're pulling the boat. It's very hard work in the hot sun. You have to be very strong to do that. You can't do that, I can't do it either. So they're doing it in the hot sun, and the man, as he's pulling it along the path, he may think that, well, if I got a lot of money, I would make the path very smooth, with nice shade trees. He doesn't think that if I got a lot of money, I wouldn't have to pull the boat at all. But he's thinking, I will make the path very smooth so it doesn't hurt my feet, and there'll be shade trees so I don't have so much beating of the sun. But the real thing is how to improve your situation. He's thinking, within this situation of pulling the boat, I will make it more comfortable. But the real thing is to get out of the boat pulling business altogether. Get a better situation. So in the same way, we're thinking, I'm stuck in this material world of birth and death, but I'll get a nice house, a nice car. But the real thing is to get out altogether. Get out of this material world. That's real benefit. So real service to others is to give them knowledge of how to relieve their suffering condition fully and eternally. That means to understand our situation in the service of Krishna. So this material benefit, it's actually no benefit at all. It's the same thing like cooking a nice meal for the man who's going to be shot the next morning. It doesn't actually benefit him at all. So we're all on death row. Maybe not tomorrow morning, maybe before that. But it's going to come very soon. We're all going to have to leave this body. So better chant Hare Krishna. That will help ourselves and others. Sorry? What about Bhakti and Rasa? What's the question? I didn't hear the question. Could you repeat it? I just heard the words Bhakti and Rasa, but I didn't hear what the question was. Then you progress further, you perform sadhana. rasa, that will develop. First thing we have to understand, we are the das of Krishna, we're the servant of Krishna. Then when we become fully situated in that, then the rasa will develop more. That Lochan Das, one Bengali poet, has sung that Bishaya Charya Shai Rasai Majya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari. When we give up the idea of enjoying this material world, then we can become absorbed in the bhakti ras. Not before. If we think I will have bhakti ras and at the same time I will have jada ras, or material ras, that's not possible. You can't mix oil and water, one or the other. So let's get free from material contamination by chanting the holy names. Then higher and higher stages will develop in due course of time. That will come by Krishna's mercy, not by force. It's not that you can just imagine, now I am a gopi in Vrindavan. It doesn't work like that. Krishna, when He will bless us by our pure desire, then we can develop that. So, Hare Krishna. You're all going to chant one round of japa, you have that? Okay. I'm going to go now because I came a little late and I'm leaving. So, you please continue. Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening so nicely. Don't mind if I hurt your sensibilities a little bit. It's my duty to do so. Wake up. Utishta, Jagrata, Prapya Varandi Bhodata. That's the duty of sadhu, actually, to wake people up, not simply to say, yes, yes, you're very nice, everything is wonderful. No, you should tell. This material world stinks. Get out of